Thank you for joining us on this edition of the show. My guest is a clean tech startup trying to turn scraps to waste. He joins me on the show to discuss issues around building a startup in that vertical, as well as the clean tech industry in general. This and more coming up right after some tech news and updates. I'm Chukwemeka Agbata. Welcome to Tech Trends.
More and more, modern warfare will be about people sitting in bunkers in front of computer screens, whether remotely piloted aircraft or cyber weapons. In this remote riverine community, Kayama in Kolokuma, Nopukuma local government area of Bayelsa State, is where 20-year-old Rejoice Ogenero builds unmanned aircraft, also known as drones, from locally sourced materials. Although his environment doesn't give anyone the faintest idea that such creativity could emanate from this neighborhood, Rejoice develops his passion in this makeshift store he refers to as his factory. For a child born in a rural community as Kayama, this is an unprecedented feat that he's achieved from his backyard. It is here that Rejoice spends most of his time birthing his dream of creating drones into reality.
I was a kid. That was when I started. I started with bamboo, using bamboo to try to build it, but I was not able to get it flying. So it took me a long time. You know, my parents are not rich. I really took a long break, making more research, trying to improve my invention. So it took me a very long time. Then in 2013, that was when I got my first flight. But getting the first flight, I wasn't able to control the airplane, so it just moved up and lost. I wasn't able to find where it went to. I do a lot of research from textbook, internet, like from my physics textbook. My physics teacher was like teaching something and he was talking about third law of motion. Yes, it's opposite and equal reactions. So in aircraft, there are some principles like the angle of attack, which is the angle in which this aircraft climb. So if you don't know that angle, if you are not able to calculate that angle, your aircraft won't take off. You hear someone saying, "Wow, this is a toy." Actually, from you perspective, from many people, they think it's a toy. But building an aircraft is not a toy. But there are a lot of calculations. You need to calculate the angle of attack. You need to calculate the wingspan, the fuselage length, because if you look at the aircraft I flew, you see the wings is more longer than the fuselage. Now, those are based on the calculations I made. I did not just carry this wood and build it.
Rejoice is the second child of a family of 6 and an SS3 student of the state-owned Kayama Grammar School. His scientific prowess and ability to manufacture these drones have made him a celebrity in his community, as residents are in awe of how far he's come. Using the limited resources available to him, Rejoice showcases his creativity and exhibits the ability of his creation.
Many of those materials are gotten from scrap yard. Like you see, the aircraft is made up of plywood, foams, some electrical components from our DVD remote, and some from all these toy cars you see. All these toy cars are something they call servos. So I was able to get that so I to control this. Before when I started, I was getting most of my materials are gotten from like 80% of those materials are from all these please they say refrigerators, which is those floaters you see. You look at it, 80% of it are floaters to make it light. And the plywood, I bought some plywood to make it more to enforce it, like just see. So I was trying my best, trying to make it in a way okay, even if it's flying, I should be able to control it. So I now started creating some things, which is using wire as a control surface to interlake with my airplane. Then the airplane will be going, we'll try to be controlling it here. We are not perfect to be going on before you know the wire will just cut, we lost the plane again. That was when I took a long break in 2015. That was when I was able to come up with an idea of making it wireless. Then I started with it. I was like successful, but it will get to a range, a very short distance. The signal will just cut off and I will just crash the plane. Then in 2017, that was when I really got the wireless system, how to make it in a distance. Now the aircraft now has a distance compared to your eye. Anywhere your eye can see it, that is where you can go. So if I'm able to see from here to my state capital, you should be able to go there from here.
Getting to this point wasn't easy for Rejoice as he shares the several setbacks he suffered. However, his passion kept him going.
Sometimes it will take me up to a year to build an aircraft, but it will take a second for that aircraft to crash. Why? Because I'm not perfect. But you know one thing I've learned about this aircraft work is patience. Building an aircraft, you must be patient. Sometimes when it took me a year to raise this money to build this aircraft and it took a second to crash, and I would just say, all the money I've hustled for a year now, but I did not give up. I was like happy, like wow, this aircraft have flied. I should not give up now. You know, there are three main principles of inventing something, which is the time, the money, and the knowledge. Now I have the money, I have the time, but I have the knowledge, I have the time, but I don't have the money. So if I don't have the money, it's very difficult for me. So far, I've built more than 50 aircraft. Presently now, just 7 are surviving due to the crash. I won't lie to you, even my first aircraft is not yet. The first 30th aircraft service is not yet. Because you know, in every aircraft I build, there's something I got to learn from it. Even if it's crash, there's something I will learn from it. Like, wow, what is the cause of this crash?
One of these prototypes can be used to aid fumigation, he says.
You see that aircraft I was testing down here, it has a system of fumigation which can be used in our agricultural purposes. So that aircraft I built it because of my uncle. Whenever I was at home, my uncle would always be coming to me and say, let's go and spray in the farm. Whereas that time I used to spray in the farm, I could use it to invent something and to improve my. So I say, wow, if I'm building a aircraft, I should add a technology to it that if this thing is able to spray, I just go to the farm, fly my aircraft. That should be a way of practicing the aircraft to make my flight more stable.
Even though Rejoice currently enjoys the support of his family, he says it was a different story at first.
When we started building it, not even my family, the general community, there was a doubt saying, wow, nobody has built a flyable airplane. Many people have tried, even in this community. There was a guy who started it and was not able to build it, make it to fly. So many people, when I started, many people just be laughing at me now. Since all this small, so we have seen people trying it, but no one has successfully built it for it to fly. So it just imagine starting something and you have not even done with it and you're hearing different insults. This boy just wasting time. Trying to carry go make money, carry do things, or play with friends, or play with football, just wasting his time trying to make something that not fly. So even my family, there was some doubt, but it got to a stage where they saw that wow, this guy is not really joking. He was serious. So they tried to assist me even if they know, even if they have that doubt that it won't work, they were just trying to assist me a little bit. They can assist.
And now his father stands proud and attests to his son's skills.
Really, I was not happy the first time he started doing this work. Until a certain time after he had built the aircraft, he will go and try it. When he tests it, it's something will spoil. He will come back again, it will last for some days. He will begin buy other things again. Begin by buying, he will build again. Then they said they have a competition at Inawa. By that time, he had built one, and that one he had fly and landed. So as they want to go for the competition in their school, they selected him to go for the competition. And as he went for the competition, really, he won. That is the time I knew that this thing that my son is doing is going to carry him to a place that God destined him to be.
Rejoice also shared his plans for the future while calling for support from the government and private citizens.
I'm trying to go into general technology, which is building different kind of things that come to my mind. I'm trying to create a memory whereby if I passed away, there should be people like, wow, this guy, he did this thing before he went, and there should be people benefiting from my ideas.
Rejoice is one of the several innovators in Nigeria who have the passion and skill to create practical solutions to everyday life problems. Currently, he's not had any form of sponsorship, which makes it quite difficult for him to go on. But with the support from government or private companies and individuals, this tech talent in Bayelsa State can become an aeronautical engineer as he dreams to be.
Russian robot manufacturer Promobot has been perfecting how its humanoid robots mimic their human creators in how they look and move. Promobot robots work as talking assistants in government centers in Moscow as well as universities. They are produced with a mental skull covered with several layers of silicone skin, but the company's technical director Igor Yeremiev says the key to a good imitation is in its mechanics.
Как робот даже выглядит, это не основное, а основное на самом деле, чтобы он был похож на человека.
For resembling a human, it does not matter how much the robot looks. It matters how it acts. For now, the robot has about 40 servo motors in its head that follow the movement scripts. Our team is programming it. On every part of the face, there are around 40 moving points. The motors are moving these points and we can see the emotions. We can see there that the robot is trying to smile, open its mouth and move its eyes, brows and cheeks. It all moves with the help of servo motors.
Пытаться улыбаться, открывает рот, двигает глазами.
The company plans to bring even more lifelike features to its robots in the future.
Ну, мы сейчас на сегодняшний день применяем два типа волос.
We already have requests for movable arms. You have seen a robot with just static hands as it sits there. We're now developing movable hands that could perform some gestures during conversation. I think in the first place we will make it stand, and later in the nearest 3 or 4 years we'll make it walk.
According to the company's website, Service Promobot, founded in 2013, works in 40 countries around the world as administrators, consultants, guides, and concierges, replacing or supplementing human employees. In 2019, Promobot V4 became an employee of the American College of North Carolina.
Coming up is my chat with Tope Suleiman, co-founder ScrapPace. Stay with us.
Every year, millions of tons of waste are produced worldwide with no signs of it slowing down. Statistics from the World Bank state that with rapid population growth and urbanization, annual waste generation is expected to increase by 70% to 3.4 billion metric tons in 2050. Also, a report published in June 2020 by the United Nations Global E-Waste Monitor states that global e-waste has surged up to 21% in just 5 years, with a record 53.6 million metric tons of electronic waste generated worldwide in 2019. To tackle this environmental problem, clean tech startups are at the forefront of this movement. The use of clean technology significantly improves energy efficiency and enables the sustainable use of resources or environmental protection activities. On this week's edition, Tope Suleiman, co-founder of ScrapPace, discusses the issues in the clean tech industry.
Hey, Tope, glad to have you on Tech Trends today.
Thank you very much, CFA, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So let's start by, getting your take on the startup ecosystem today.
So the startup ecosystem in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos, is quite a very interesting one, with the fintech guys here and there taking all of the big wins and more of them coming up on a day-to-day basis. Outside of that, there are also very fantastic edtech companies, clean tech companies that are also coming up, that are also doing amazing stuff, but are yet to get the amount of recognition that the fintech guys have gotten so far. But I'm sure that in the next couple of months or years, they would also get to that place and be able to call that much attention to themselves as well.
It's interesting you mentioned fintech. Sometimes I wonder how startups like you would feel with all the rave and attention of fintechs.
So it's fantastic for us. It's fantastic because, and half of our business also have some sort of fintech solution incorporated into it. So it means that we also have the liberty to also play in that field and to get all of the returns or the yields that come from the fintech bubble as it is right now. So we know that it's something fantastic for us. And it also means that we can also get a very wonderful part of that as well.
Okay, but hopefully, I hope you mean bubble in the positive term, though.
Absolutely, yes, I do. In the positive term. I'm sure that this bubble is going to last way longer. So I know it's something that is continuous.
But the bubbles get to burst someday.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. I understand.
Yeah. All right. So tell me, what are some of the issues that you think affecting the growth of the other startups in other verticals? What are some of the challenges you think affecting their growth?
So primarily because the fintech sector, like I said, has gotten a lot of investment, and investment in other parts are not as much as or near any of the parts in fintech, and that's essential because this capital ensures that this other side of businesses can grow and affect more people and reach more impact than they're supposed to. So we believe that as soon as they're able to grow to parts that are investable and to where they can be sure that their numbers are correct, they would also get this investment and be also grow as much as possible, get the recognition and get them where they're supposed to be as well as they go along.
So you are in a unique space, right? And and I wonder how you are able to push the narrative that you are also qualified to be called a startup.
So because we are in the recycling space, there are a lot of other businesses that are traditional recycling businesses, but we are not, right? We've categorized ourselves as a clean tech and a recycling tech company. And the reason we've been able to do this is because we have offered offline and online technology so that we can facilitate collection of recyclable materials. And this puts us in that very unique space, right? So we've been able to use our technology to ensure that people get return and to ensure that all of the system is monitored from end to end. The financials running through all of the platform. I can see the growth on a month-to-month basis and also how it affects the traditional collection business that we're using it to drive. The ecosystem and startups like yours continue to hammer on the fact that funding remains a challenge.
what do you think can be done to sort of change that situation today?
So funding is one thing. The performance of the startup itself is another thing, right? We all know that investors are looking at startups that can grow and 10x or even more than that in their revenue. And it means that the startups in other space need to get themselves to where they can be sure that they can get investor confidence and be sure that that alone is going to be make sure investment is coming. If the confidence is not there, it's not about the finance or where the finance is going to come from. It's more that have you built a business? Do you have a structure that is scalable, and to ensure that that business that you've done, you can in 4 or 5 places launch simultaneously and get customers wanting your product every single day, with your numbers growing. If that is not fundamentally available, investments are not even going to come in. So for businesses like ourselves, we've been able to ensure that we can build the business to a stage where we say, yes, we've gotten to that place and we're getting our numbers, and we can then call on these investments to ensure that investment is important, but the add-on values on the investment are even more important in some cases, especially for startups like ourselves. So that's the way I say it, and that's the play between the investment and the startup itself from my own end.
So that means that it's not always true that they're not investments. It might be a challenge of lack of quality ideas or quality solutions.
Absolutely, CFA. Well, they say ideas are a dime in a dozen, right? So there are a lot of ideas, and execution is one key thing. So as a FI grad and going through the program as well, this is some of the things that are required to know the intricacies of how to grow a standard business. And this is what we've been able to do and what other businesses are also advised to do, so that the basic and the structure to build that fundamental business that is then scalable and investable is done before you can then seek those investments. Investments are available in some cases. In our case, we've had interest from a number of persons, but we still needed to say that we have not gotten to that place that is on our own terms investable yet, and we needed to build to be sure that our growth path was clear before we could call in all of that.
Tokpe, you recently competed in a competition and you came out victorious. I just wondering what the experience was like, and what lessons that you have for other startups coming behind you.
So it's interesting that you asked that question, because I was really smiling when you did. So the program that we competed in had, in fact, a 2 days workshop. This is so that you can be pitch perfect, right? And it was important because they had calibers, about 6 finalists that were on the competition, and it was really going against substance, right? So the bottom line, like I said before, is a substance, and for us, I think what made us clearly different was the impact that we potentially would make from the kind of business we were in. And it was glaring that with the technology and the way we've gone about putting all of it together, it was important for that impact, and they saw the impact that we possibly could deliver. So for every other person that wanted to compete in any competition whatsoever, like I said before, it's the content, right? It is what you have done over the couple of months that is going to say yes. Then that is what you talk about. It's not about not having content and speaking all flamboyantly about it. It's what you've been able to do over the past few months. What is the growth that you've done? It is only then that you can confidently speak to anybody about it and be sure that you can get your message clear and clear across. So for me, it is building, it is getting your hands dirty. I believe that as a co-founder, there's no job in your business that is too big for you to do. Right, it's getting to those numbers and getting to ensure that we can grow those fundamentals that is important, and that's what I will tell anybody to do first before even pitching out for any competition whatsoever.
I mean, I think that clean tech like yours and green tech startups also play a very important role. So yes, the world needs to acknowledge the role that you guys play. Okay, thank you for being on the show today. All the best.
Thank you very much, CFA, for having me. Thank you very much for putting me on your program. And hopefully we can get to have a bit more chats going forward.
Tokpe Sulaiman, co-founder ScrapPace, joins the growing list of clean tech startups trying to make our environment cleaner and ultimately making the earth better. If you look around, you'll surely be worried about the number of plastic waste and scraps littered all over the place. And sadly, many end up in our waters. So it is quite worrisome, which is why supporting innovators in this sector is also extremely important. It's a wrap on this edition of the show, but the conversation continues online. Join us on social media. Remember, you can watch the entire show on Channels TV, YouTube, or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.